The next morning, Makoto visits the guild, where William hands him his silver G rank card. Makoto is impressed by its quality but even more amazed when he sees the earnings from the monsters. The guild earned 461 gold coins from the sale of the regular monsters. The legendary red snake alone sold for 21 gold coins, and the total value of all the rare monsters, including 4 ghouls and the blue ghoul, reached 1,415 gold coins. Adding the goblin colony bonus, Makoto's total earnings come to 1,900 gold coins. William warns him to keep this wealth a secret, as it could make him a target for bandits. William offers Makoto 2 new high-level quests. The first is to hunt a metal lizard, and the second is to track and capture a herd of bloody horned deer. William explains that the metal lizard lives on Pascal Mountain, 2 days away from the guild. It settled there because the mountain is full of its favorite food. William explains the challenges of hunting the metal lizard. Its metallic scales make it immune to most attacks, and no adventurer has succeeded in defeating it yet. Makoto vaguely remembers hearing about similar lizards, but isn't sure where. As for the bloody horned deer, they live in the plains west of Pascal Mountain. The path to their territory is treacherous, and their aggression and numbers have made them impossible to defeat so far. What excites Makoto the most, however, is the taste of their meat, which is said to be exceptional. This motivates him to take on the challenge. William informs him that the guild is offering double rewards for these monsters because no one else has been able to handle them. After hearing this, Makoto and his companions leave the guild and decide to start their journey the next morning. Before heading back, Makoto visits a leather shop to buy a new bag for their adventures. The merchant shows him several high-quality bags, and Sui picks one by jumping into it immediately. Makoto buys the bag, along with a belt for his knife, a wallet, and new boots. The total cost is 11 gold coins, but the merchant, Lars, gives them to Makoto for free as thanks for saving his life and sharing such rare delicious meat during their journey. Lars then asks if Makoto still has the black snake hide, but Makoto explains he already sold it to the guild. Lars is disappointed, as the hide was sold to a marquee family for a fortune, far beyond his means. Lars begs Makoto to bring him the hide directly if he ever hunts another giant black snake, and Makoto agrees before leaving. Talking about snakes makes Phil hungry, and he requests snake for dinner. That night, Makoto prepares a snake dish, which both Phil and Sui enjoy immensely. After they finish eating, Makoto quietly makes a small plate for himself and eats in peace before going to bed. The next morning, Makoto rides on Phil's back as they head toward Pascal Mountain. Using his instincts, Phil quickly locates the cave where the metal lizard lives. When they reach the cave, Makoto nervously asks Phil to let him down, saying, "You've got this, big guy." But Phil ignores him and drags Makoto into the cave, saying, "We live or die together." Inside the cave, they spot the lizard. Its scales are made of mither metal, a legendary material that's unbreakable and resistant to both physical and magical attacks. Phil realizes the lizard was once an ordinary metal lizard, but became nearly invincible after consuming mither ore, which transformed its scales. Even basic magic doesn't affect it because mither absorbs and nullifies spells. However, Phil's lightning magic is no ordinary spell. He unleashes a massive thunderbolt, taking the lizard down. Makoto quickly stores its body in his magical toolbox. Makoto has a brilliant idea: to forge weapons, armor, or shields from mither ore to make himself immune to magic. Phil, reading his thoughts, laughs and reminds Makoto that Phil's protective barriers are far stronger than any armor he could craft. He drags Makoto out of the cave, eager to hunt the legendary bloody horned deer next. The group arrives at the eastern plains, where the deer roam. Makoto reads the mission details, which describe the deer as massive, aggressive, and extremely dangerous. Spotting the herd, Phil tells Makoto and Sui to stay back while he handles the mission alone. But Sui sneaks out of the bag to follow Phil, and together, they wipe out the entire herd of deer in 1 minute. The sheer number of deer overwhelms Makoto. His toolbox can't hold them all. Sui splits into multiple smaller slimes to help store the bodies, but even after selling half to the guild as planned, they're left with a huge surplus. Makoto decides to cook the deer meat in different styles to keep it interesting. Later, he makes katsu sandwiches using rock bird meat, which Phil and Sui enjoy. While eating, Sui notices Makoto drinking Pepsi and asks to try it. Sui immediately loves it and drinks to bowls full. Phil, equally curious, gulps down 1.5 liters of Pepsi, amazed by its flavor. The next day, they return to the guild. Johann and William are stunned to see the massive haul of legendary deer Makoto brings in. William explains that this species has been extinct for 400 years, and the last sighting was centuries ago. William tells Makoto that they must deliver the lizard to the city governor, who will then hand it over to the king. Additionally, they'll need to map out the location of the Mither cave to mine the raw metal, which will be crafted into valuable tools. William estimates the sale of the lizard and the mining rights will net Makoto at least 500 gold coins, leaving him speechless at the prospect of wealth. Realizing he's officially rich, Makoto grows paranoid about bandits. William warns him to stay quiet about the Mither lizard and cave to avoid drawing attention. When William asks about the bloody horned deer, Makoto unveils the entire herd he hunted. William is floored, joking that Makoto might bankrupt the guild. Later, Makoto prepares a meal using the deer meat. He sears thin slices of meat, seasons them, and wraps them in foil to cook evenly. The result? A perfectly tender dish. Phil and Sui are blown away by the flavor and demand a larger batch with extra garlic sauce. Makoto obliges, earning their endless gratitude. Phil thanks Makoto for spoiling him with such incredible meals, claiming he can't go back to eating ordinary meat. Afterward, Makoto takes Sui back to their room. There, Makoto orders more desserts from the online store for Nerner. When he calls her name, the box vanishes instantly. Suddenly, 3 other witches appear, introducing themselves. Agni, the fire witch, offers to enhance Makoto's fire magic. Rosalka, the water witch, and the earth witch also offer their powers. Agni and the earth witch convince Makoto to accept their enhancements, boosting his fire and earth magic. Rosalka, however, feels dejected when Makoto refuses her offer because he fears water and doesn't think they're compatible. Agni and the earth witch convince Makoto to accept their enhancements, boosting his fire and earth magic. Rosalka, however, feels dejected when Makoto refuses her offer because he fears water and doesn't think they're compatible. Feeling guilty, Makoto asks Rosalka to transfer her water magic boost to Sui instead. She agrees, and Sui gains new water-based powers. From then on, Makoto begins buying desserts weekly for all 4 witches to maintain their goodwill and magical support. He immediately orders another batch through the app. Makoto buys chocolate and desserts from the app, calling the witches by name to deliver their treats. The desserts vanish immediately and reach them. The next morning, Makoto tests his fire and earth magic on a tree. Part of it breaks, showing that his powers have weakened. Sui then uses water magic and splits the tree in half effortlessly. The two spend the day practicing their powers. Makoto manages to use his earth magic to build a basic shelter, feeling proud of his progress. Meanwhile, Phil hunts a giant black snake and reminds Makoto that Lars had requested its hide. Makoto also plans to cook the snake meat for dinner. The next morning, Phil suggests hunting again, but Makoto decides to deliver the snake's hide to Lars first. At the guild, Butcher Johann, Makoto collects payment for the monsters he sold. Johann explains that William has taken the Mither lizard to show the governor. Makoto asks Johann to process the black snake and save its hide. He also collects the leftover deer meat and other monster parts from the guild's storage. Later, Makoto, Phil, and Sui head to a quiet spot where Makoto shows off a meat grinder he bought online. He explains how to use it, and Sui eagerly grinds a large amount of meat. Makoto uses the ground meat to prepare ORC burgers, mixing the ingredients and shaping the patties. He fries them up with ketchup and fries on the side. Phil, Sui, and Makoto feast until the burgers are gone. When Makoto runs out of soap while washing clothes, he buys some from the app. He gets an idea to transfer shampoo from earth bottles into local ones, planning to sell them. Makoto delivers the snake hide to Lars, who is thrilled and immediately buys it for 50 gold coins. Makoto shows Lars his guild cards, surprising him, since it's rare for someone to be a member of 2 guilds. Finally, Makoto presents the shampoo and soap, explaining their amazing effects on hair. Lars gets emotional, calling them incredible products. For the first time, Lambert sees shampoo, and it's perfect timing. His wedding anniversary is in 2 weeks. Since his wife already has plenty of jewelry and handbags, he decides to gift her the soap and shampoo Makoto brought. During their chat, Makoto learns Lambert has a luxurious bathtub at home. Curious, he asks to see it. Lambert shows Makoto the tub, which stuns him with its intricate design and elegance. Lambert explains it cost over 100 gold coins due to its decorative features and the water magic used to purify the water. Lambert also mentions that only the wealthiest merchants can afford such a luxury. Inspired, Makoto decides he wants a similar bathtub for himself one day. Before leaving, Makoto gives Lambert samples of each soap and shampoo, asking him to try them out before buying for his wife. They agree to discuss pricing the next day. The next morning, Makoto visits Lambert's shop and meets Mary, Lambert's wife. Lambert raves about the products he used them the previous night, and now his hair is smooth and shiny. Mary, impressed by the results, also tried them, finding her skin radiant and her hair soft. Mary suggests selling the soap and shampoo in their shop and splitting the profits 50-50 with Makoto. She's confident the women in the city will buy in bulk once they see her glowing results. Makoto, who doesn't have his own store, happily agrees. Makoto drops off crates of soap and shampoo at Lambert's shop before returning to Phil and Sui to share the good news. At the Adventurers Guild, Makoto overhears two adventurers discussing wyverns, which no one has been able to defeat. Intrigued, he heads to William's office. Just then, the guild is thrown into chaos. The wyvern alpha has attacked, and William and Makoto rush out of the office to assess the situation. The secretary informs them that the wyvern alpha was likely searching for the bloody horned deer, which Makoto had recently hunted. Although the adventurers manage to escape, the wyvern's aggression leaves everyone on edge. Makoto realizes this might be a new challenge for him to tackle. When they reach to the main guild hall, most are poisoned and barely clinging to life because of the wyvern alpha's toxic tail. Makoto provides William with large doses of healing medicine made by Sui. They apply it to the adventurers' wounds, which heal instantly. William calls on all rank A and G adventurers to hunt the wyverns before they attack the city. However, Makoto starts to panic at the thought of joining the hunt. Phil steps up, offering to handle the mission himself. His only condition? He gets to keep the wyvern corpses for food. William agrees and promises a large reward if Phil eliminates the entire wyvern swarm. Phil declines any additional adventurer help, saying they'd only slow him down. Phil carries Makoto on his back and races to the western plains, where they spot the wyvern swarm. Using his evaluation skill, Makoto determines the wyverns are highly dangerous, with toxic tails capable of splitting their targets in half. Phil takes Sui with him to teach it how to fight flying monsters. He focuses on attacking the head and wings, the weakest spots, and warns Sui not to hit the body since they plan to eat the wyverns later. As they battle, Makoto is shocked to see Sui fighting so fiercely. He'd always thought of Sui as cute, but now it's clear Sui is as deadly as Phil. Suddenly, a wyvern attacks Makoto, but Phil's protective barrier saves him. Sui quickly finishes the wyvern off. After defeating the entire swarm, Phil and Sui grow hungry. Makoto cooks them a new dish with some of the wyvern meat, and the three enjoy a hearty meal together. Back at the guild, William and the adventurers anxiously await their return. When Makoto, Phil, and Sui finally arrive, they announce they've eliminated the entire wyvern swarm. The guild members are relieved, knowing many of them would have died if they had tried to face the wyverns themselves. Makoto tries to act like it was a tough battle, but Phil lightly smacks him and reveals they finished the job in 15 minutes, spending the rest of the time eating. The city guards announce to the townsfolk that the wyvern threat has been neutralized, bringing everyone a sense of peace and safety. Makoto visits Johan and William at the guild to report that they've wiped out the entire wyvern swarm, a total of 13 wyverns. He mentions that he only wants the meat and has already removed their heads. William expresses interest in buying all 13 wyverns but admits the guild doesn't have enough money. Instead, they agree to buy half the meat, while Makoto keeps the rest for free. That evening, each of the four witches communicates with Makoto telepathically, each making their own requests. One asks for more of his cooking, another wants extra desserts, and the last asks for soap and shampoo. Amused, Makoto fulfills their requests. The next day, Makoto takes Phil and Sui to the market to buy a bathtub. He picks a luxurious one, but the merchant offers a payment plan since it's very expensive. The merchant is stunned when Makoto pays the full amount in cash and stores the tub in his magical toolbox. Makoto, eager to try out his new tub, heads to the forest. Phil goes hunting while Makoto uses earth magic to build a small house for the bathtub. Sui fills the tub with water, and Makoto uses fire magic to heat it. Makoto relaxes in the bath with Sui, enjoying the fragrant soap and shampoo he bought from the app. Afterward, they cool off with iced coffee. For dinner, Makoto cooks wyvern meat. He slices onions and wyvern meat, then adds water, sauce, and ginger paste to the pan, creating a delicious stew. When Phil doesn't return, Makoto prepares another dish with wyvern meat, sticking it into cubes and cooking it with ketchup and sauce. Phil finally arrives, carrying a freshly hunted earth fire dragon, which looks like a dinosaur. Makoto worries that the guild might not buy the dragon meat since they haven't yet processed all the wyvern meat. Phil reassures him, noting that earth fire dragons are incredibly rare, and the guild will definitely pay for it. Phil smells the food Makoto prepared and wants to eat, but Makoto refuses. He insists Phil take a bath first, since he's covered in dirt from fighting the earth fire dragon. Makoto orders pet grooming supplies from the app, brushes Phil's fur, and uses fire magic to heat the water. Sui transforms into a shower-like stream to help rinse Phil. Makoto shampoos Phil, and Phil absolutely loves it. Once they're done, Phil uses wind magic to dry himself, with the heat from Makoto's fire magic. With Phil clean and refreshed, it's finally time to eat. Makoto heats the food and serves the wyvern meat over rice. The three of them dig in, loving every bite. While Phil is engrossed in the meal, Makoto gets him to agree to bathe twice a month going forward. Later, at the guild, William and Johann inspect the earth fire dragon. Both decline to process it, as they aren't equipped to handle such rare beasts. William informs Makoto of another guild in Dolan, a city specializing in earth fire dragons. He gives Makoto a map and a letter of recommendation for the guild master there. Grateful, Makoto prepares to leave for Dolan with Phil and Sui. Before departing, he bids farewell to William, Johann, Lambert, the Phoenix Adventurers, and everyone else he's befriended in the city. Makoto looks forward to starting a new adventure in Dolan with his legendary wolf companion Phil, and his trusty slime, Sui, by his side. But that's where this video ends. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.